So this is our last fireside chat of the day, and this is Richard. You are the founder of online payment platform, a payment services provider. You started it in 2011, so you've been going for a while. And crucially for what we're about to talk about today, you are no longer CEO. You've kind of handed that leadership role over. So we're going to talk about both how to kind of grow and expand, but also when is it the right time for a founder to say, okay, I'm no longer like right at the helm of a company. So interesting topic. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So talk about, let's start off with that exact topic. When did you decide, okay, I'm the founder, but I don't want to be the CEO? And what was the rationale behind that decision?
Well, the rationale was actually a pretty pragmatic one. So it was a little bit over 10 years ago. We were still a web development company, and we developed a number of apps, and one of them got an investment, and we relocated part of the team to Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. And while doing so, I still had the web development company here, and we were like, okay, so what we're going to do with that? And then pretty much by chance and luck, we found somebody that just sold his own web development company and was looking for something to do. So we asked him if he could kind of take care of our little company for a while. And that was actually just a very pragmatic reason why we did that. But then we were in Silicon Valley having fun. Actually not. It was terrible, so it failed there. So we had to go back, and when I got back, I saw that all the people really enjoyed having him as a CEO because CEO does the type of things that I'm not very good at. So he made sure that the whole organization was actually organized and people were being taken care of and listened to and all kinds of stuff that just wasn't in my DNA. So that's when I decided, look, please stay as a CEO, and then I'll do what I really like to do, and that is just try to build the most awesome product. Mm-hmm. And that was it.
So what does your day-to-day entail now since that move?
It kind of changes over the years, but the main thing that stays is that I'm horizontally involved in pretty much every aspect of the business, so that because at the end of the day everything's connected, so I'd like to be able to realize what's happening everywhere and kind of detect when there's a little bit of noise going on that might have effect somewhere else down the chain. And then I can just step in and think about it and try to fix it with the team that's there. So I'm more of in a free goalie, as you would say, I guess. Kind of what I think is a founder role. Mm-hmm. Is just being horizontally involved in every aspect, making sure that what you build from start to end, makes sense. So you have to understand who you're selling to, why they want your product, what their challenges are, and then check out within the company whether what we're doing is aligned with what they want. And that's pretty much what I'm doing. It isn't a specific role. They were still trying to find the right name for that, but I would say just a founder. Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's intimidating for the CEO or a CEO in general to have a founder still in the company?
You'd have to ask him, I guess, but I don't think so. I think the good thing is we spoke earlier, and he said, maybe some founders or people that run a business or created a business find it hard to kind of give the torch. Well, it's not the torch, like to give some real leadership role to somebody else. But I think it's one of the best things to do because, your company is a little child. It is your child, but it's always better to have a child raised by a number of different people and not just yourself. So for me, it was just an awesome experience actually to have somebody of real caliber help in the areas where I wasn't good at, and he knows I'm very good at the areas where he might be a bit less good at. So it's nothing frightening. It's just for me, it's just a very liberating experience actually, and for him also, I think.
As we were talking, as you said before, about this baby analogy, a lot of founders I talk to seem to have this the company is my baby, and I always think it's probably slightly unhealthy to think like that. What do you what do you think about that? Or I just I think that there often are times when
it is slightly unhealthy.
It's needed to kind of bring other people in, as you've just said.
It is slightly unhealthy, but it is the case. I mean, if you don't think it is your baby, it is your, and it feels like that. I mean, literally, I feel physical hurt when the company is being hurt in any way. So, and that's how you would feel having a child. If your child gets hurt, you feel that same kind of experience. So it is something that's very close to you, because it feels like an extension of yourself. So I totally understand that, but it can help to take a little bit of a distance.
Yeah, that's what I mean about perhaps the need to bring in other parents, if we're going to continue the analogy. Or
absolutely. You have to build a whole family around this little kid to make sure that it grows up in a way that it's able to deal with all the challenges going forward out into the world. So I think that is one of the tips or advice that I would give, is really try to find as many people that truly care about this little child or company, and that really complement you and the others in areas, and then things will go better.
And do you think more founders should see themselves as like the ideas product person? Do you think we too overly equate founder with CEO? Should we open up the idea that it can be like product ideas person more often? Absolutely.
I really don't. For me, it's quite unnatural to just be the CEO. When I was a child, I thought people that made companies were inventors, like Willy Wortel, you know. So I never saw the founder as somebody that's like very good at finance, organization. I always thought of the founding someone to be kind of chaotic and be a real uitvinder. What was it?
I don't know.
Sorry. What is it? Uitvinder? You know. Peter Jan?
Inventor.
Sorry. Totally lost it. So to be a real inventor kind of character. But, turns out that maybe a lot of people think of it differently. But, it's for me a very natural way that when you start building something, you have a very different type of skill set, and you use your creativity and insights to really tinker and make it great. And that type of activity doesn't necessarily also come with the skills to really run a business in a very organized fashion. So I think going forward, it should definitely be more natural for any founder not to be the CEO, but still have a very, very strong influence also on the leadership and the vision and the direction it's going, but in tandem with people that are actually better at organizing.
Yeah. Could you ever see yourself becoming the kind of founder that goes on to new product, new idea, and creating companies, and then moving on as the ideas person to different ideas, different companies?
Yeah, actually, that was also always my dream. I've got this itch or whatever it is, that whenever I encounter some friction anywhere, and I think, oh wow, this is a challenge. I can solve this one. So, for example, just to give you one, just to give you a free idea, a freebie. So maybe some of you have kids. We all have a TV at home, and there's this one itch I just had, is that I've got this newest TV on the wall. It's got the wall Samsung frame, whatever, with this great remote, but still, the remote's always lost because the kids, they lose the remote. And then it's like, where's the remote? Where's the remote? And I'm like, well, the TV is always in the same spot. Why isn't there a button on the TV that when you push it, the remote starts making noise? It's just one little idea, and this is how my brain continuously goes. So I have hundreds of these, and I put them away in a big vault.
But you should make that. It's a great idea.
It is a great idea. It's free. You can go and do it. Get rich. So anyway, so I got hundreds of these, but I used to execute them all the time, and that's why I kind of failed, because I lost focus on each of them. So another thing that I really learned is, once you finally have something that actually gets traction and people like it, focus on it like crazy. That just don't get lost in new ideas, which are always more sexy and cool to do, because building something new is always like a real great feeling, and just continuing on something is kind of boring, but it is the way to really create something that is successful in the end, is to have a real focus and not be distracted. But going forward, yeah, whenever I may leave this company, if it ever happens, then I'll open the vault and see if there's anything that I wish to pursue.
Very exciting. Yeah. Last question from me, and then we'll go to the audience. On the topic of international growth and expansion, you brought in Worldline, this big payments provider, as a shareholder and a partner for that expansion, if I'm correct. Can you talk about why you decided to partner with someone bigger as a method of expansion?
Yeah, so we are a payment service provider. We focus entirely on marketplaces, and yeah, as you may know, there's a lot of payment service providers out there, and a couple that are huge, like Stripe, Adyen, and we actually have to battle and beat them, you know. And we are good at that, because we are now running the largest marketplaces in the Benelux and Germany and UK. However, if you really want to make the leap onto the global stage within our specific industry, there's a couple of kind of boundaries that you're going to have to get out of the way if you want to do that, like licensing, like payment schemes, like having huge volumes to even be attractive in terms of the pricing that you can provide. So Worldline had all of these aspects. So they had got the licensing all over the globe. They have huge credit card volumes. They've got all these things that we can leverage, being kind of a really small company in the space, to leapfrog basically what could be decades of paperwork. And so yeah, I really want to not do the paperwork, but we do want to do the cool stuff. So yeah, we partnered up with Worldline, who had a gap in their offering, which is they can't do marketplace payments, and yeah, so there was a real match. Yeah, kind of made in heaven. No, it's a real match.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we partnered up. So we can already see that internationally the leads are coming in, like leads that I couldn't have dreamed of before, that we're now getting contracted. So yeah, it's just very cool for me to see that we can leverage somebody that's bigger in the market. I think Bill Gates once called it piggyback riding.
Okay.
And that's kind of what we're doing, because it felt like if we wouldn't make that move, then we could have been swallowed in due time by the big juggernauts that are out there.
Okay.
And that's something that I didn't want to see happening.
No, that makes a lot of strategic sense. We have time for one audience question, if someone has one. One at the back. We've got this mic, which I can bring to you. Cool.
Yeah, thank you. Just a quick question about becoming a kind of a founder that remains within the organization. And I heard you say that you kind of float from department to department, or wherever you're kind of needed, and you see something going on that might need your attention. How do you feel the teams that you're working with in those moments feel about your kind of interaction in those spaces? And do you have to be very self-aware of the fact that, hey, I might be giving advice, but they might just do it anyways because I'm the founder, even though the people you're working with may not feel like it's the right direction to move in?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, first, like, how do they feel? Not always. They're not always super enthusiastic about it. I mean, often they are, but not always. So sometimes, I just get a bit frustrated. Why are we doing this way? Come on. I mean, and then, I should do a better job at the way I communicate that. So, of course, sometimes, maybe people aren't too happy with me just jumping into their processes and trying to see how I can improve those things. But still, at the end of the day, when it does work out, they do appreciate it. And on the other hand, sometimes I'm definitely wrong. You know, I might think that something may be better, but then they can explain to me why it's not, and then I accept that. So at the end of the day, for me, it's really putting beside any ego. I try to not have any ego of it has to be my way. No, I just want to try and make it as efficient as I can. And if anybody else can show me what's better or more efficient, yeah, that's what we'll do. And by showing that every day that's how we operate, they trust. The trust comes there, and then they know it's not an ego thing. It's just we're all on the same boat, trying to get to the other side and as effective as possible. And yeah, where you build that trust, then that's just a very relaxed way of operating.
Good answer. I'm sure people have more questions for you, but we've run out of time. Will you be here for a bit? Can they?
Yeah, of course, getting some beers.
Okay, great.
Maybe going to the after party. So yeah, hope to see you around. Please do, ask me whatever you want to ask me. So thank you so much for listening to my story.
Thank you. That was great. It's really interesting. And then, as you've said, there are a number of things happening after. So, at 4 p.m., which is very soon, there's super connectors on this stage. The bar outside is opening at 4:30, I believe, and there's a few round tables still to come. There's one in this room next over here. So there's one at 4:30 again on steward ownership, which I believe there are still some spots for. So sign up for that if you want. And as you've said, there is an after party. I think you can catch people from Upstream and ask them about that if you want to go along. And the last thing to say is Upstream will be happening again next year on the 28th and 30th of May in Rotterdam again, of course. So yeah, come back next year, and thanks for joining for all the fireside chats across the last few days. It's been great.